Welcome, everybody. This is Drew Patterson with Zink Food Service, a Paradigm company, and we are doing our industry chats. And I'm here with Chef Josh Wickham, who is the Senior Director at Columbus State School of Hospitality Culinary Arts. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, Chef, what we're doing is we're really doing a deep dive into different segments in the industry and people with some exciting and diverse backgrounds to really help educate maybe some of the younger people as to where their career paths can take them. So I thought, knowing you for years that I do, I thought you were a great case study in that because you have a pretty diverse background, a very impressive resume. So I thought we would start a little bit with, tell us about your background and your educational history.
Sure. So I started cooking in kitchens when I was 13 years old, kind of illegally, mind you. I was hired as a busboy and very quickly found out that I was much more comfortable behind the walls. Yeah. So I had a milk crate that was rigged up to the floor that I could stand on and work the pizzas in the pizza oven. A place called Franco's, North High Street, long time ago.
Okay.
So I was introduced to the industry very early, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I was never super scholastic in high school, which meant I worked. Mm-hmm. So, I went to school the minimum hours as I needed to, and then I worked 40 hours a week my entire junior and senior year.
What was it about that kitchen? Obviously, you could legally, illegally work in a restaurant at that age, but what was it about that environment that just kind of, you knew it was for you, the energy, the passion?
It was, I could produce something. I had something that I made at the end of the day. And that product was able to appeal to people in a way that few other jobs can. Mm-hmm. By feeding you, I'm appealing to all of your senses, and all at once. But also it felt right. I could swear pretty much whenever I wanted to, you know what I mean? It was a little bit coarse. It was a little bit gritty. It was hard work. I've always been a hard worker. I find a lot of self-worth in that. So, and even when I was young, I could grind. I could grind all day. And that's what really kind of sealed it for me.
Yeah. So after that experience, what was your next step? What did that lead you into?
So that kind of kept me in restaurants all through high school. And again, I wasn't super scholastic, so I didn't have these amazing test scores, and I didn't have a super awesome GPA that was going to get me into a 4-year school. So my dad was a tradesman, so the trades were vocational was it for me. Yeah. And then that's when I found Columbus State and the apprenticeship program, which was, it honestly made me, it was the best decision I ever made in my life was to join that apprenticeship program. It allowed me to work.
Right.
So I was working 40, 50 hours a week. I was able to go to school. I was honestly able to do just enough in school to get by, but I worked my butt off. And, that's where I ended up I was working at the Lakes Golf and Country Club. Mm-hmm. So I was up north. Back before Polaris even really existed. It was just a 2-lane road all the way to the lakes. That was really all that was there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much very similar to me. I wasn't a great student. I didn't want to go to college. My parents knew, they were both teachers, so they knew you really need an education. So I went to a culinary school, but I specifically picked one that was very hands-on. Yep. And it sounds like very similar to where you thrived in the online, and I know I got through the book portions of it, right? Yep. But that's awesome that you did that. So, that's what drew you to the field. What keeps you there today? Because now you've had a pretty storied career to this point, all in food service.
Yeah. So, really, after my apprenticeship, I spent a fair amount of time, another year in clubs. Then I went to Ohio State for about 5 years, and then ended up going to Rocky Fork as the executive chef, and I was there for about 10 years. It was an amazing job. Cooked a lot, learned a lot about cooking, learned I could do whatever I want. I had an amazing team that allowed me to really develop as a culinarian, as a cook. Mm-hmm. I kind of had a lot of the leadership stuff ready to go, and then now I got to really focus on the craft. became a really good chef. And to be honest, after about 10 years, I was kind of over it. I was worn out. I was working all holidays for the last 10 years, hadn't enjoyed a Thanksgiving in a decade.
Yeah.
I had a 4-year-old, and really I was kind of over it. But during that whole time, while I was teaching at the club, working at the club, I was also teaching as an adjunct instructor at Columbus State. So I was still very much connected with the program, with where it was going, and we knew about what we have now. We knew about Mitchell Hall. We knew that it was coming. So I really just kind of took a risk, and I turned in my notice at the club, and I had a little part-time job that I was moonlighting at Season Farmhouse, doing some edutainment kind of stuff, recreational cooking. And then I was teaching at Columbus State, knowing just that I had the ability to put myself in the right seat at the right time in front of the right people.
Yeah.
So that it was a no-brainer when the time came to make that decision on the leadership for that project.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned a couple things, and right now the industry's tough, and it's been tough. It's always been tough, but it's tougher now than it's been in a lot of years, at least in my history of it. And, there's obviously discussions both ways. Is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse? You're in charge in the, you mentioned Mitchell Hall, which is a phenomenal facility. You and your instructors are in charge of like bringing up these young culinarians and minds. How are you motivating them and getting them ready for this industry, which is ever changing at this point?
Right. I mean, I think one of the most exciting things about it is how dynamic it is, and how, there's a million jobs that aren't being a chef. I mean, landing an executive chef role in Central Ohio is kind of like being a pro quarterback. There's only so many spots, right? So being able to be in a position where we can work with our partners to expose our students to, there's so many facets of this industry that you can be very, very successful in. And really just, trying to explore those options with them, but also getting them in front of the people that are those future employers.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a phenomenal way to say that, because you're absolutely right. There's, the term chef can mean a million different things. Like, I was always what I would call a people chef. I hired people that were phenomenal at the food, but I wanted to manage the people. Yeah. And then you have people that are just, the straight culinary driven, everything on the plate is artistry.
Well, and it's really funny when you say that, because, and you would know this, when you tell somebody that you're a chef, the first thing that people ask you is like, oh, what's your specialty?
Right. What's your favorite thing to cook?
Right. And what I tell, my specialty is people skills.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a cook with people skills.
Yeah.
And that is, like you said, you hire the smartest people that you can find, that you can afford, then you let them do their job.
Yeah.
Stay out of their way, right? I mean, one of the best indicators of a great chef is you don't know when they're there and when they're not. Yeah. Because their staff is always representing them at a certain level that they've established, and then you can go and have dinner with your family.
Yeah.
Because you have a great team that knows what your expectations are, and they're able to do it.
Yeah. And you had mentioned, and you mentioned it again there, but you had mentioned getting kind of burnout at some point. And you had a family, and at this point, you've probably figured some stuff out. So what do you do to create a healthy environment for that work-life balance?
So I think the pandemic has changed a lot in this, and you can look at some of the largest employers in the city right now in our industry and the changes that they have made, ensuring that their managers have a quality of life. I draw lines. There are very few things that we do that are life and death, right? Stuff can wait till Monday.
Right.
I work really hard when my staff is on vacation. I don't bother them. I do everything in my power not to email you, not to call you. And with that same, unless something's on fire, leave me alone. Right. I got an out of office, and I really do try to disconnect and unplug on a regular basis. I guess being in higher ed has afforded me, the blessings to be able to do that more often. Mm-hmm. but I see those practices being reflected in the industry,
which is awesome.
It is. It's long overdue.
Yeah,
because we are and have been for a very long time a meat grinder of talent.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Yeah. So obviously you work with these, I used to always say the culinary schools, we'd say, oh, you're crafting young minds and everything. But a lot of your students now are almost second or coming in as second career people, right?
Yep. Yeah, it is. And we've been able to put ourselves in a really good position recently where we've been able to develop an in-house culinary program, one that's not the apprenticeship. And when the apprenticeship, that requires you to have a job 40 hours a week for 2 years, 4,000 hours on the job training. We've been able to stand up a degree at Columbus State that does not require that same work component, that you can do all of the experiential learning in-house. And what that's been able to do is really open up this type of training in this field to people that are starting new careers.
Yeah.
Because you can't support a family of 4 as an apprentice.
Right.
You can't do it. You're not going to have the time. You're not going to have the money, because you sacrifice a lot in apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody, and it doesn't need to be for everybody. So by having alternatives for our students to come in, we can say, where are you in your life right now? Where do you want to be? What are you able to handle? And we most likely have a program that fits that, that's going to help you with that quality of life.
So outside of the program itself, does it put a different set of needs on the instructors in the way that you're teaching like a new person coming into the field as in a second career?
Respect.
Yeah. Oh,
that's really what it comes down to, because no matter where you're coming from, you're bringing experience to the table. And whether you were an accountant, whether you were a lawyer, whether you were a tradesman in another type of trade, you have experience and you have skills that can be applied to what we do every day.
Okay.
And as an instructor, treating those students with respect and taking the time to learn what they already have, and teaching them how to take that and use it for what we're doing now. Awesome. Right? So, and it's the same thing that you would do with someone new that's coming in.
Yeah.
But it's our job to keep people interested and exciting and proud of what they're doing.
Okay.
Because that keeps them in the kitchen. Right?
Yeah.
Or it keeps them in that program. So being an apprentice and having an apprentice, if you have somebody that has an entire career established and you bring them in and you put them at that bottom rung again, it's not fair. It's not right. They're not starting from scratch.
Right.
Maybe they need some help with their recipes and stuff, but they've been managing a team. They've been showing up to work on a daily basis. They've been communicating with their peers. And that's something we do every day.
Yeah.
So respect it, honor it, and teach them how to apply it in a new way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I've seen you, obviously I've been to the school multiple times and seen you walk around, and there's a pride level that I can see you walk around as you watch these kitchens and they're flowing. And you're right, you have the infancy stages of a culinary career, and then you get in to the students that are getting ready to graduate, and you can see where they've really blossomed. It's got to be awesome, almost that parent to watch them go through. Is that, or what would you say is the best part of your job today?
I think you hit the nail on the head. As a product of that program, graduating from Columbus State, spending and having an extremely fruitful and bright career in kitchens, teaching apprentices, teaching in that program, but to go from that 8,000 square foot basement kitchen to 80,000 square feet of the finest equipment and so much stainless steel, it's almost blinding. But then to see students in every single station of all those kitchens, that means everything to me. My entire career has been building this project.
You'd be hard pressed to find a culinary school with that view.
It's
I will
true.
say that.
It is true. And when we built that, we had an entire team supported by Cameron Mitchell that they flew all over the United States and looked at all the best, the benchmark institutions and said, what of this building do we want?
Right.
You know, we want this theater, we want this kitchen lab, we want this restaurant, we want this bakery, we want this theater, and we got it.
Yeah.
And we got it. And I mean, and to be, you know, from the to be at the table when this idea was happened, to be like, hey chef, what do you think about this? Like that's the first question, and that was 6 years ago, 8 years ago almost now.
Yeah.
And then to have this and be able to go through that every day, to rub elbows with, you know, the industry professionals that I've respected throughout my entire career. It's
and helping them find staff too.
Absolutely. It's, I mean, we are the central piece now. And to kind of be at the helm and to support the people that make that happen on a daily basis. I mean, I'm not going anywhere.
I think you answered the next question, but given the choice, do you feel that you would still pick the food service industry as your career?
Yeah.
Going back?
Yeah, I have no regrets.
Absolutely.
And I feel so blessed that I was, that I knew. I mean, I've been doing this since I was a child.
Yeah.
You know, 30 years I've been in kitchen staff.
Awesome.
And I'm 43 years old, so I'm not old. And you know, 3/4 of my life has been behind burners.
That's awesome.
So,
what would you tell yourself if you could go back at that 13-year-old? And what kind of life lesson advice? Because you know, I think you're saying that, you know, I've always had this saying where I don't think I've ever made a mistake because it's led me to where I'm at, and I love where I'm at. Now, obviously, there's different paths we all could have taken that who knows where they would have led. But what life lessons have you learned that you think might have helped you along your way?
So, you know, there was a time shortly after my apprenticeship when I graduated. It was honestly a little dark. I would say it was the one time that I did have reservations.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if I was in the right spot. And I had already graduated. I mean, I was done. And what happened was I had a friend that I brought into the club, who was also an apprentice. He needed a few more hours. I said, chef, I got this guy. He's really good. Bring him in. It's great. And just about that time, like, I think we had been there. It was probably about 6 to 8 months, but we had just graduated, both of us. And the club needed a sous chef. And, you know, I'm thinking, like, this is fine. I've been here 3 years. No worries. I wasn't super responsible at that point. There were days that I were late. I still kind of had my head in my ass a little bit.
Yeah.
And looking back, I totally did. But Mark got that sous chef job, and I did not.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was broken over that, and I didn't have. I wasn't looking at myself from up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as a manager, as someone that needed to depend on other people. And that was kind of the biggest thing that, like, I wish that I would have taken that a little bit more seriously sooner.
Yeah.
But it took being.
It takes people a long time
to really see it.
It takes people a long time to get to the point of true self-reflection. Yeah. And I've always found it extremely therapeutic. Yeah. But you have to be. It's hard taking a real look at yourself and, you know, even analyzing, you know, I really need to work on this.
Well, and how your behavior and how your punctuality and how your attention to detail affects everyone else in that kitchen.
Right.
Because the chef cannot do it by themselves.
Yeah.
They cannot.
Yeah.
And that's why the best chefs are the best leaders, right? Because they're putting this responsibility on you and on you and on you. But if you've got that weak link that you don't know if they're going to be there on time for brunch, I can't depend on you. I'm not going to put any faith in you. I'm not going to hang the success of my day on you.
Right.
When I can just put you on the tank and you can be an hour late and wash dishes. But you can't be an hour late and run that omelet station.
Right.
You can't be an hour late and set that buffet with me. You can't be an hour late and sit in a menu consultation with the bride with me. Mm-hmm. Because like those are the opportunities that you need to be there for, to be able to take that next step or to be the easy decision.
Yeah, my wake up moment was I was sitting in a leadership class that Hormel was putting on, and they were just kind of telling the story about the chef and, you know, where he had kind of started phoning it and everything. And I just had this light bulb pop, and I realized that I wasn't giving my chefs the best version of me. And so literally that next day I went in, I started ironing my jackets. I put in creases in my pants, because I expected things out of them, and they were performing, but I wasn't doing the things that I was having them do.
Right.
And it was a tough moment to sit there and realize, wow, I've got to take a look at myself and do that. So that's always hard, but I think you grow so much if you can be honest with yourself.
Yeah. Well, and really what fixed it was our general manager at the time, because like I was done. Like when I didn't get that job, like I didn't want to be at work, and I was still going, and I had a connection in the motorcycle business, custom motorcycles, for an apprenticeship lined up to go be a motorcycle mechanic.
Oh wow.
I was out.
Yeah.
And I went into James's office and I was like, Chef, this is my 2 weeks notice. He's like, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I got a job at Twin Visions. Now I'm going to start working on bikes. And like the color just came out of his face, and he like threw what he was doing on the desk and he just walked out. And he was like, I can't believe you just wasted 3 years of my time.
Right.
Because he had, and I worked hard, but I didn't have that.
You just weren't ready.
I didn't have that grown up on time mentality.
You just weren't ready.
So he was frustrated. He left and like let me simmer for like a week, and then my GM came into me and he said, I want to have an honest discussion with you. Are you done with cooking, or are you just done with us? And I said, I think I'm done with you.
Yeah.
And he said, that's okay, because we have options.
Right.
I can get you out of here. So within 2 months, they moved me in. I was sous chef at another club that our management company ran, and like really that was all I needed.
Yeah.
So as a manager now, and as being on that other side, when you see that promise in somebody, you see that spark, it's just not quite enough to say something.
Yeah.
Because it might be what saves someone's career. Was
there a pivotal moment when you really knew that you had kind of turned into a leader in that kitchen?
Yeah, I think I had to get out of the next kitchen. I think when I was at Jefferson for almost a year. That's where I went. I was sous chef at Jefferson, another country club. After I left, I didn't last. Like I said, I lasted about a year. I left on really good terms. That's when I got a job as a unit chef at Ohio State. And going from country club to Ohio State is like to a
little different.
Totally different. It's a union shop.
Yep.
which is a
whole nother ballgame. That's a different podcast
yeah,
altogether.
Absolutely. Call me when it's time.
Yeah.
But I really learned. I came in there at 23 years old, and I'm like, hey, I'm the boss and chef, all of you. And like, I had a woman that came up to me and she said, I've been mopping these floors longer than you have been alive.
Yeah.
Stay out of my way. Right. And in that job, that's when I learned how to work for my staff.
Okay.
Right. And to show them that, like, I'm going to be here early. I'm going to have the food that you need. I'm going to have your station set up. I'm going to have the chemicals that you need. And whatever it is that you need to be successful, that is my job to provide you with. And it took a while to get there, but I did. Again, I had people that had very set expectations, set rules on what I was allowed to ask of them.
Yeah.
When I was allowed to ask that of them, that was new for me. I've gotten good at working in that environment, but that job taught me how to work for my team, and that was really kind of the game changer.
Okay.
Like I said, when I got that job at Rocky Fork, like I knew how to manage, but now I really needed to focus on my craft, on being a good cook, on learning flavor development, ingredients. I basically taught myself to be a pastry chef,
right.
A really good one too.
Yeah.
But I did that because I had those leadership skills, and I was able to go into that kitchen and empower that team, give them their piece of ownership, something to be proud of, so that they liked being there. And I could kind of now I could go work on my laminated doughs, or I could work on my pie crust,
right.
I could make bread all day. So yeah, that was a big thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this question might take you a while, not to think about, but to answer, because I feel there's a lot of answers. What do you do as a hobby to relieve stress in your life?
Yeah, right.
I feel you have a lot of hobbies.
I do. I say I've learned a lot of $300 lessons.
Right? Nice.
Because you kind of go all in and you like,
Oh yeah, you buy all the stuff and everything.
Like, yeah, I should have bought all that.
Yep.
So first of all, being physical, I always got to keep moving. So we ran up the steps here today. I always take steps at work, but I climb. I'm a boulderer. I climb 6 to 8 hours a week. It's a very important part of my.
My daughter still calls you a spider monkey because you just watching you those days just go like crazy around.
Yeah, I dig it. It is one of the most fulfilling things that I do. But yeah, I spend time with my wife and my daughter, and we dine, and we're in travel volleyball now, so that's a whole another experience for me.
Yeah.
So every other weekend in the spring, we're all over the state of Ohio playing volleyball. I like it more than I thought I would.
How do you do on the sidelines watching the competition? Because you're a pretty energetic, passionate guy. Or does your wife keep control of you?
Yeah, I don't want to be one of those parents.
Okay.
So I'm probably more subdued in that area than anything else, because really, I want her to be happy. I want her to be successful. I'm not pressuring her into this. This is all driven by her. So yeah, I'm there to support. But again, I'm not overly. Yeah, I throw darts on Wednesdays. Make time to hang out with like-minded individuals. Just blow off some steam. Darts is great because it's a real structured night out. You start throwing at 7 o'clock, you're done at 9:30, and you're home and in bed by 10:15.
Yeah.
So, get out, make sure you have friends, be social, have people to lean on. This business is hard. Don't be afraid to talk to people.
Yeah. I think it's something we don't do enough in this industry is,
I would agree.
old school chefs, they were so protective of their recipes and everything. And while every recipe hasn't been done, the majority of them have been done, and then everybody puts their own take on it now is the way I believe. But, I was always of the mindset of sharing is better, because there were people who helped me come up and shared things with me. And, for me to pay it forward, anybody who asked me for advice, for recipes, for anything like that, I'm going to bring them in. I'm going to sit them down, and I'm going to help them any way that I can. And I think that's great that you mentioned that, because I think this industry is great on camaraderie, but I think there's sometimes a wall there between camaraderie or are you impinging on my shit?
Right.
So,
right.
But I think it's great if you can sit down and have these conversations. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they said a rising tide raises all boats. So we're all in this together. I mean, we're all in, various facets of this industry, but we all need each other, because without one piece, then we don't have a circle. Yeah. It's not complete. So, I feel like the people that are most successful in this business know that and are open to that and foster those relationships. Yeah. Yeah. And, loyalty means stuff.
It does.
It absolutely.
As big as this industry is, it's a very small world at the same time. And the one advice I give to anybody is don't burn any bridges.
Absolutely.
No matter what, because I guarantee you, if you stay in this industry at some point in your life, you are going to run into them again.
Yeah.
Or someone who knows them.
Right. I was talking to some students the other day about that. The people in this room with you could be hiring you. Yeah. You could be hiring people in this room. At school, every day is an interview. Every day. Yeah. Most of my adjuncts are hiring managers somewhere. And they're there to find talent. Right. So every day is an interview. You are on your game.
That's a great point.
Your lab is clean. You're timely. You do your homework. You show up to class. They are noticing that, and those people need help in their kitchens, or they need help in their organizations. And you're right there. Yeah. That's a great point. And it cuts the other way too. So if you're always late, and then you're like, ugh.
Yeah, you may not be on the top 10.
Right.
No, that's a great point.
But all other hiring managers know those people that are in those kitchens. Hey, I know you're teaching. I know you're teaching as an adjunct. You got any leads?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's huge.
So I won't ask you what your specialty is, but I do want to know, what is your secret and guilty pleasure comfort food?
All right, this is ridiculous. My buddies were making fun of me the other night when we were online playing Modern Warfare.
Another hobby.
I like to get the Jello cups, right? And then I always have 2 varieties of fruit snacks. and I mix my 2 varieties of fruit snacks with my Jello cup, and that's my bedtime snack.
Nice. Okay.
Ridiculous, but yeah, no, it's delicious.
That's a unique
but
one.
I'm a sucker for pizza. I will die a pizza man.
Yeah.
I started in pizza. I say I'm going to own a pizza shop when I grow up. But my plan is to absolutely have a hole-in-the-wall pizza shop where I employ myself and maybe my buddy Joel O'Donnell as my second-hand pizza man.
Nice.
And yeah, we're gonna die making pizza.
What do you have a preference? Are you a New York or Chicago guy?
I would probably lean more towards the New York Midwest thin
Okay.
crust. But yeah, there's just something about taking care of a dough ball.
Yeah.
For your to bring your money in. It's kind of magic to me. Like whenever we travel, like I love to hit the small pizza shops.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm a sauce guy. I'm all
the
about
pizza
the
show
sauce.
is an amazing show that it brings me to tears probably every other episode. But yeah, that's kind of my dream is to have a really tiny pizza shop.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, at the end of your career, what do you want people to say about you, or what do you want your legacy to have been?
So it's funny that you asked that because it's really it's kind of a big day. My mentor, a man that I've always looked up to my entire life, is responsible for most of the success in my career. Chef Jim Taylor announced his retirement today.
An icon in
Icon.
Columbus
Absolutely.
and the ACF chapter.
And it's honestly, it takes a lot for me to kind of hold together as I talk about this because it does mean a whole lot to me. But if I could have half the legacy of that man and touch half the people in the way that he helped me and numerous people that I know, all
That'd be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and congratulations to Chef Taylor.
Yeah.
And well deserved for an
Yeah.
amazing career in
huge.
this industry and
Huge.
everything he's done for
And
culinary.
he's also he's being inducted into the American Academy of Chefs Hall of Fame this
That's
year
outstanding.
in
Well
June
deserved.
at the national convention. So
Well deserved.
that'd be huge.
So thank you very much. I've always appreciated you as an industry colleague and peer. What you do is outstanding. I've watched your career for many years. I remember watching your practice runs a couple of times, and I've always been very, very impressed. I'm honored that you came in and did this. I love what you're doing with the students down there at that school. My daughter is looking at going there, which is awesome to me because I know, it's going to be hard for her because I know probably 90% of the instructors. So they're not going to take it easier on her. So not going to have it any easier. But that means a lot to me. And the passion you talk about that, it really makes me proud to say, man, she wants to go there. That's outstanding.
That's great.
So I appreciate that. I am very thankful for your friendship over the years, and I wish you the best in everything that you do. And any way that I or we can support you, don't ever hesitate to ask.
Excellent. Well, it goes both ways, Drew. I've always appreciated your partnership and friendship. You're just at school the other day evaluating our latest class of apprentices. Zink has been an amazing partner personally throughout my career, but at Mitchell Hall, the project, it's just been great. So yeah, it was a real honor to be here today. And anytime you want to talk, give me a call.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks
And
so
to
much.
everybody watching at home, thanks for watching. And while you're out in the world, make it a great day for somebody. Thanks.